Welcome to Use the Types episode number 8, hosting your app on Heroku. So in this video, we're going to go through the steps required to get our web application up and running on the internet using Heroku. You'll be able to share it with your friends after this video. So this is building on the previous video, which was episode 7, where we changed our program to allow the web server port to be configured via the port environment variable. But before we go any further, you'll need to sign up for a free account with Heroku. I'm going to show you roughly how to do that. So we'll fire up a browser. And we'll go to Heroku.com. Here we are. We're going to click Sign Up for Free. On this page, you'll enter your name, your last name, and email address, and fill out the other fields, and prove that you're not a robot. So obviously, I'm not going to go through this stage myself. I've already created my account. But once you submit this, form, it will trigger an email address verification step. So you'll get an email from Heroku with a link that you'll click on to verify that your email address is valid. And you will at some point need to create a password, which you should remember, of course. And once you've done this and are able to view your Heroku dashboard, you can proceed to the next step. So the next step is to install the Heroku command line interface. And I'm a command line sort of person, so I'm going to do nearly everything through the CLI. And you'll need to install it using one of the many different ways that are documented on the Heroku website, which I will show you right here. It's devcenter.heroku.com, articles Heroku-CLI. Let that load. Click on the download and install link. And you'll see Mac OS is an installer, and you can install via Homebrew. Windows has 64-bit and 32-bit installers. Ubuntu you can install using Snap, or you can download standalone tarballs or run the install shell script. Various ways to do it. They even have it in some of the package repositories. Because it's the easiest, I think, I'm going to use the Snap approach. So to do that, we are going to open up a terminal. Like that. And we're going to run that command. Let's just copy it. There it is. Sudo snap install ---- classic Heroku. You need to enter your password. Whoops. It will take about 30 seconds, I think. All right. Once that's done, you should then have the Heroku command on your path. So whichever method you choose, you should be able to, from your terminal, verify the version that you're running. So Heroku ---- version 7.19.4 Linux, which is the same version listed here. And you should have a similar version to this. So next up, we need to log in to Heroku from the command line. This will be using the password and the email address you set up previously. You'll use the login command to do that. It will open up your web browser. So we'll press enter. We'll open up the browser. And we'll need to enter credentials. So log in. All right. I signed up with this email address. Let me grab my password. There we go. And we log in. I'm not going to save it. You can close this page and return to your CLI. Let's do that. There we go, logged in as Richard at usethetypes.com. You should verify that it's signed in using the right account, email address. Now what we can do? Well, we can use the help command to see what commands are available to us. And you'll see there are quite a few. Scroll up a little bit, we'll see apps, which is one that we'll use quite a bit. We'll run that one right now. Lists the apps that you currently have created and you have none. Now we're going to grab the source code from our little web app. We'll go into the source directory as we always do. We'll create snap hello world and we'll use our faithful wget command there to pull from usethetypes 007 config port, which is the program that we wrote last time. Let's just look at the source code for that. You'll see this is the version of our web app that takes the port from the port environment variable, which is important for use with Heroku, defaults to 8000. And if we do git status, we'll see we've got no git repo here, so we'll create one and we'll add all these files to it and we'll commit them. I'm going to set my email address and my name. And we'll commit it. There we go. There's our single commit. We have no files checked out. And we're going to create an app now. So this is where the Heroku create command comes in. And we're going to look at its help, because there are quite a few options, I think. There we go. Scroll up, see Heroku create and takes the name of the application. If you omit the name of the app, it will generate a guaranteed unique name for you. This is unique across Heroku. We'll take advantage of that. But the critical part for our purposes, for Haskell purposes, is this build pack option. Running create with no additional arguments will create a new app using the default Heroku stack, which is, I believe, Ruby on Rails. We're not building a Ruby on Rails app, we're building a Haskell app. Fortunately, we can use some pre-existing build packs, and there's one on GitHub which we'll use. It's the Heroku stack build pack. It's available on GitHub. I'll load that up and just take a quick look at the project. It's called Heroku-buildpack-stack by mfine. So we're going to use this build pack. You can create your own, but you can go in here and look at how they're structured. We won't go into the details of this. But this allows you to create Heroku apps that are built using the stack build tool, which is what we're using. So let's go back to the terminal and we're going to do Heroku create, and we're going to use the build pack option like we do here, but we're going to use the mfine Heroku build pack stack. Heroku create -my build pack. Move this out of the way so we can see what I just typed there. So it's just the URL of the landing page on GitHub. And this generates a brand shiny new web app. And you'll see it's generated a new name for it, frozen-oasis-15906. You can create apps with your own name, of course, using the name option that we've omitted. But this one is guaranteed to be unique. You'll see that it's given you the name of the app, the build pack it's using to build it, the URL that the website will be available at, and then the Git repo that is used for publishing the code. Let's click on that URL, see it in our browser, copy it into the browser. There we go. Frozen-oasis-15906 herokuapp.com. Welcome to your new app. There's nothing here right now. It's just this default landing page. And this is a Git repo. As I say, this is how Heroku deploys. And we should find that the Heroku command line tool has set a remote on our repo for us. Look at that. It's created a fetch and a push remote, both called Heroku. So if you push code changes to the Heroku remote, it will publish your app. Now, if we run the apps command that we ran before, it should now list our new application. There it goes. There it is. Frozen Oasis 15906. String that will be seared into your memory. Your app, of course, will have a different name from this. There is, however, one additional step we need to do before we attempt to deploy this app, and that is create a proc file. This is a file named proc file with a capital P. And this is, I believe, a YAML file, and we're going to create the most basic one using this command here. We're going to echo web:/snap-hello-world into our proc file. So that's created a new file. Let's look at the contents. You'll see it's just a single YAML key value entry. Web is the type of application, and snap-hello-world is the name of the executable that Stack will build. This should correspond to the name of the executable in your Cabal file. So it's this value here. So if you change the name of your executable, you'll need to change the value of the web property in the proc file. The next thing we need to do to get this hooked up is check that file into our source code repository. Let's do a git status. See, we've got a new file, proc file. So we'll git add it, and we'll commit it. Heroku proc file. See, we now got two commits in the history. The initial commit, which was the code, including the code to read from the port environment variable, and now the proc file. And at this point, all we should need to do is push it to the master branch on the Heroku remote. So we'll do this using Git Push Heroku master. Heroku is the name of the remote. It's the fetch and push remotes listed up here. Specifically, it's the push one. We're pushing to it. And master is the name of the branch. So Heroku, by default, pulls its source code off the master branch. And let's do that. Press enter. This will trigger the whole deployment process. Now this may take a little bit of time in the first invocation, because you'll see what it's doing is pushing the code, but it's also pulling down a whole bunch of Haskell build stuff, specifically the LTS 12.0 build plan, which is the build plan specified in our stack YAML file, downloading a GHC compiler. Fortunately, it's pre-built. It's not going to have to compile GHC from scratch, which would be time consuming, but it is having to sort of unpack all of this stuff. So this will ensure that the correct version of GHC is being used to compile your code, and it will build your package and its dependencies. So it's going to sit here and churn through all the dependencies like the Snap framework and everything. And it will be time consuming the first time you run it. Subsequent pushes, however, will be much quicker, since Heroku seems to do a pretty good job of caching build artifacts between invocations. And under certain circumstances, if it takes too long, it may even time out. Heroku does impose a time limit on the builds for obvious reasons, to stop people from overloading their servers. But it caches pretty well and will resume from a sensible place. So it doesn't have to do all of this GHC and everything from scratch every single time. So this will take a little bit of time. We'll be back in about 5 minutes to carry on. Oh, and we're back. Look at that. So you see, it's built all the dependencies. This is comparable to when we first built the very first version of our Snap Hello World app, when it had to build all of the dependent packages for Snap. You'll see, in fact, the last package that it built before building our program was snap-server up here. And so now you see it's compiled our main module, which is great. There were no errors. And it is copying the output from the build to the web server. It's compressing it into a tarball and sticking it in the right place so that the Heroku app can pick it up. And there's actually a good chance that the app is already accessible at this location. So let's flip back to our browser. Again, it's https frozen-oasis1596.herokuapp.com. There it is. Let's refresh that. And there's our app. Current time. It's ticking. So it's serving the JavaScript. It's got the styling. And it's all from our little Haskell app. And it's on the internet. So you can go and share that with your friends. If we flip back to the terminal, it's still thinking. It takes a little bit of time. I'm not quite sure what it waits for. Something for you to investigate on your own time. But there we have it. Thanks for watching.